Good afternoon to the Chevra. It's already been a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. This is not said to gloat to the Chevra at all, like I told you so. That's not the energy. I actually want to tell you one day with your own families. You're one day going to have a Cholamayit or some Sunday, you want to do something with your teenage children, and you might ask them, there'll be a certain reluctance. Encourage them and go. Once this morning there was a little bit of reluctance for the Chevra. I don't know, it's hot. And it's been such a beautiful time. So I want to thank everybody for joining in. Of course, Rabbi Brown said, yeah. It's a little bit funny. This is Rabbi Sonnenschein Shul. And it's a little bit funny that I'm here introducing Rabbi Sonnenschein in his own shul. But I really want to talk to the guys for a few minutes. I want to say that 25 years ago, we both came to this city together. We were involved in starting a yeshiva. There was an idea, there was a thought. I want to say that the siyata d'shmaya, the heavenly assistance that we've seen over these 25 years, a little bit I spoke about it, Yantiv, Bayas, Shavuos, Bayas, a little bit on Shabbos and on Shavuos. But the siyata d'shmaya, the heavenly assistance we've seen is lo yu'uman. And from the start, it was like very, very daunting. A sense we both came here. We were a lot younger than we are today. Still young, but a lot younger back then. And there was a sense of like, oh my goodness, this is above us. And we've seen tremendous siyata d'shmaya over the years in this whole journey. And I want to express that, the siyata d'shmaya. But I want to say that Rabbi Sonnenschein has been personally a very, very strong friend and influence on my life. And on the whole development and everything that's gone on over the years in the yeshiva, it's been a long process. The yeshiva's been, if the word evolving or growing, like every individual is called upon to be a ben aliyah, to grow. The yeshiva, I think, again, it was beautiful back then, but Baruch Hashem, we've learned new things along the way. And guys today are standing on the shoulders of earlier guys. Each one has added, has brought, has developed things. And I want to say that from the start, Rabbi Sonnenschein's been a massive force in what's gone on. It's a place of a lot, the yeshiva is a place of a lot of space and the understanding of different types and different needs for the journey, to think, really to understand broadly people and make room. It takes an understanding of people. It takes a nice ba'il to really understand. And Rabbi Sonnenschein has, as a friend of mine, has expanded, has taught me a tremendous amount in understanding and trying to understand and seeing a little broader, a little deeper, a little more. A lot of the Rebbeim in the yeshiva, Rabbi Wisnicki is a Talmud of Rabbi Sonnenschein, Rabbi Oberlander, who put tremendous amount, his yard size coming in a week, his yard size, as we spoke about him, Shavuos, he was a Talmud Chaver of Rabbi Sonnenschein. Rabbi Silverman, who's a Talmud of Rabbi Oberlander, certainly has been impacted by Rabbi Sonnenschein. Rabbi Shapiro is a Talmud of Rabbi Sonnenschein. He's a mispalel. He davens in the very shul we're sitting in. So I really just want to appreciate a friend who has a tremendous chelik in our yeshiva, in the growth, in the sincerity, in the awareness, in the sophisticated conversation. Every Beis Medrash has chidushim. There's what to learn from every Beis Medrash. There's a tremendous amount to learn from our Beis Medrash. We all have a tremendous pride in our Beis Medrash. One of the people who really empowered and taught and encouraged and was very part of building what's precious in our Beis Medrash is Rabbi Sonnenschein. So as a friend, I wanted to thank Rabbi Sonnenschein. It's important to me. We've done Q&A, we've done question and answers. We've done this a few years running now. We've done question and answer some years. I thought this year to ask Rabbi Sonnenschein to speak. The plan The plan was to have some songs. Shlomo and Yehuda both brought their guitars. Shlomo should just have refuah shlema. He's getting stitches, so we'll see if he comes in middle. So we'll see. Maybe we'll sing together. We'll see. But really, tremendously appreciate Rabbi Sonnenschein ran back from New York and is here and giving time, precious time that is scarce. That's not so easy. I appreciate Rabbi Sonnenschein's time tremendously, and I'm excited for the guys to get to hear Divrei Torah, maybe in between. We'll sing Tzazamen in between, but I really appreciate the guys being here and getting the chance to hear from Rabbi Sonnenschein Shlita.
Shkaya. You know, there's like this shiur that I give in different places. Maybe we'll do it one day in Durham, and it's a shiur about how to speak. I do it, you know, I recruit for landers in Eretz Yisrael sometimes. So a few months ago, I came to a yeshiva there, and they had me speak at 6 o'clock, and I saw these guys were all recruited out. You know, every yeshiva, you know what it's like, every yeshiva is, you know, and I was standing there, and I just was like, do you guys want to hear a shiur, or do you want to talk about how to speak? And it was very enjoyable. And I have certain rules, and I feel a tremendous hesitation when I step up to break my own rules. But sometimes you have to break your own rules. And the one of my main rules about speaking, I'm sure that Olam will agree with me, is don't start speaking discussing what happened when you were asked to speak. Nobody wants to hear, nobody cares. When I was asked to speak, I was thinking, like, are you going to speak or you're not going to speak? But I have to break that rule. It's not that I really want to talk about what happened when I was asked to speak. I want to talk about what I feel like sitting here and speaking, because it's a little bit surreal. And the reason for that is that when you get up to speak in front of an olam, so sometimes you speak to an olam that you know, and sometimes you speak to an olam that you don't know. When you speak to an olam that you don't know, it's natural that you build defenses around yourself because you don't know me. It's hard for me to be vulnerable in front of you because you don't know me. There's a strange crowd. That's a hergish that you have, a feeling that you have when you get up to speak. When you're speaking to people that you know, if you work on yourself, you can get up and just be yourself. And today, I have a very, very interesting feeling speaking. Schmoozing, I should say. And the feeling that I have is that I don't know you, and I do know you. And the don't know you is because most of the guys in this room, you know, there was a time a few years ago that I had the schus of coming to yeshiva twice a week and giving a shiur, and it was a very, very enjoyable tkufa, but Hashem had other plans. And now I don't have the opportunity to do that, and it's been quite a while since I've been on the campus. So in that sense, there are a lot of people in the room. There are some familiar faces, but there are a lot of people in the room that we've never met. Certainly have never schmoozed. But on the other hand, as Rabbi Kalish alluded to, the generations of the yeshiva are really all connected. And the truth is that you could be in the same yeshiva as someone at two different times, and there's still a sense of connection to that person. You know, I don't know if you heard there was a terrorist attack about 2 weeks ago where a pregnant woman was killed. Lo Yaleinu. Her husband was a talmid of our yeshiva. And the mashgiach in the yeshiva got up to speak. Not one single talmid of the yeshiva was there at the same time as this guy. The hanhala was. I wasn't. But it was still a moment for the yeshiva. One of our guys was going through this. Not one single guy knew him, but we do know him because we're the same yeshiva. And it's more than that. I know this yeshiva. I know the values of this yeshiva. And one of the very, very important values of this yeshiva is the ability to stop hiding behind things and be able to just express without hiding behind things. even in terms of saying Divrei Torah, which I would love to share Divrei Torah, but it's very important to know when I'm using Divrei Torah as a way to hide behind what I want to say, and when I'm using Divrei Torah to bring out the point that I want to say. It's a very, very different kind of speech. So I'm going to go out on a limb and speak to an olam that most of you I don't know, but I'm going to speak as if I do know. I know Moshe, I know Yaakov. And there was a certain hashgacha, and I was thinking about what to say, what to talk about. There's a certain hashgacha and hashgacha follows us when we're doing important things. Hashgacha follows us. It's sometimes uncanny. It's sometimes I had a story just to share with you. I had a story literally 2 weeks ago. I was on the phone driving to New York. I was on the phone with a woman who has an 8th grade son in a yeshiva somewhere. And that boy, she's divorced, it's been a tough time, and that boy hasn't gone to yeshiva this year. And she was trying to figure out where he should go for high school, and he hasn't been in yeshiva. So she told me, somebody told her to speak to Rabbi, I don't want to say the names here, but let's give him a name. Let's say Rabbi Reuven Feinberg, okay? Rabbi Reuven Feinberg. So, fine, you should speak. This person told her to speak to this guy. It's like, I wish I could talk to that guy because I know what this kid needs. I wish I could spend a few minutes with this guy. And I'm driving to New York, but there's no way. I never heard of the guy in my life. Anyway, that night, like about 10 hours later, I was in Lakewood and at a wedding. And they call up the Masada Kedushin, Rabbi so-and-so, Mechaber would see the Kedushin. A-Day Kedushin, Rabbi Sonnenschein from Waterbury and Rabbi Reuven Feinberg. Okay? And the Masada Kedushin tells me, you need to be an Eid Yichud. I just want to warn you, don't run away. So we sat there in front of the Yichud room, schmoozing about this kid 10 hours before. I never heard of the guy in my life. I was telling the story to my brother. He was like, Yossi, it's not your schus. This woman is a heilige woman, you know. But when you're doing important things, you know, there's a siyata d'shmaya. Where Kalish started off talking about friendship. I felt it was a siman for me to talk about friendship because literally while I was driving here, I was speaking on the phone with a very special Chassidish yid that I talk to from time to time, who's dealing with some things, with some addiction issues. And out of the blue, he said to me, can you just tell me, how do we do friendship? How do you get friends? How do you do friendship? It's a tough question. Any ideas? How do you get friends? How do you not spend your time alone? And it's interesting. I think sometimes the world thinks that friends are people that you do stuff that both of you like together. It's nice. It's nice if you both like sports and you watch sports together. That's nice. But I don't know, would you define that as friends? Is that a friend? How do you get friends? This is a married man with a few children from Williamsburg. Any ideas? Any advice for this guy? How you doing? I told him, I don't know if the Olam will be maskim to me. I told him there's no way for you to get friends. There's no path of going to get friends. I know that there's a book out there, How to Win Friends. I'm not a huge fan of the book, happens to be, for different reasons. I don't think that you become a friend. I don't think that you get friends by going to get friends. Go do this, talk like this, say this thing, I'll make eye contact. I don't think so. I think the only way to do friendship right is to be a good friend. You can't get friends. You could just be a friend. If a person focuses on being a friend, so then eventually he'll become a magnet for friends, I think. But to try to go and search out friends, notwithstanding with B'mechilas Kvoid, Bill Carnegie, what's his first name? Dale Carnegie. I don't think that's the inyan. I think the inyan is to be a friend. Can I be a friend? Am I healthy enough? Am I secure enough to be someone's friend? What does it mean to be a friend? How do I be a friend? There's a few parts, I think, to being a friend. One part, believe it or not, I think is curiosity. I think if I'm not curious about anyone else outside of myself, it's very, very hard to enter the world of friendship. I think a genuine curiosity about other people, that's what's going to bring us together. That's what creates friends. Sometimes when we're very wrapped up in ourselves because we're dealing with things, it's hard to develop that curiosity to be interested in what's happening by the person next to me. But the truth is that if I have the ability to reach outside of myself and the ability just to be interested when someone else is talking. You ever see two people talking and they're literally both, sometimes it can be five people talking, but they're literally both just talking at each other. They're literally both just talking. There cannot no back and forth. They're just both talking, directing their words to the other person. The other person's talking, directing his words back. That's not curiosity. Curiosity is that I care what you have to say. I'm interested in what's happening by you. Your life is interesting to me. You're an entire world to me, and I care. I'm not even talking about caring because I'm so soft-hearted and I care. I'm talking about stam curiosity. I live in this world, and your life is very different than mine. And I'm interested in that. I want to hear about you. I'm curious about you. When you tell me what happened yesterday, I'm not at the same time telling you what happened to me. I'm listening because this is important to me. I want to know what's doing by you. That kind of curiosity. That's Aleph. Maybe it's easy for me to talk about curiosity because I'm naturally very, very curious. But I don't think I've ever spoken to somebody, with one exception. I don't mean one person, I mean one type of... Yehuda, good to see you. Do you see Yehuda see? Talk about generations of the yeshiva. With one exception of one kind of person, I've always found it so fascinating to listen to other people talk about themselves. And I get musar from it. I'm not talking about people who give musar. I don't get musar from that necessarily. But I'm talking about people just talking about themselves. What's doing by them, what's how, just stam, just schmoozing. The one person that I have a hard time being curious about is the person that I feel when they're talking to me that they've given that speech before. Do you know what I mean? That they've said this narrative before. This is what they say. Hi, press play, that kind of thing. That automatic, even if I never heard it before, it feels boring to me. But if someone is talking and I take interest in them, I have a tremendous amount to learn. It brings people closer to each other, just that we have interest in each other's lives. I'm going to tell you three things. The second thing, this is a hard thing. The second thing is listening to people talk about themselves with curiosity and without judgment. With zero judgment. This has nothing to do. This is not a frumkeit thing. That's not what I mean. This is a human thing. When I listen to other people, somebody asked me this. How do you listen to somebody without judgment? Any suggestions? Yeah, but I'm happy that you said that because for me, sometimes and at various times of my life, I would find myself automatically in my mind judging. Not so easy for me to just make a decision. Oh, don't judge them. Okay, fine, got that. I find myself judging. I find myself, you know what it is? It's not that I find myself judging. I find myself comparing. I find myself comparing myself to that person. How do I avoid doing that? And it's a dangerous thing because it right away puts that person into a box. What? But that's the real question here, because how am I making friends if I'm not listening to the person? And how am I listening to the person without judgment? You said we all make judgments.
Everything in life is about judgment.
Is it?
When you walk in somewhere, you're judging the room, whether it's good or bad. Everything is judging. You're using your brain to think about how something works. You're judging based on if this person's going to move when I'm walking. When you're driving down the street, you're taking a judgment call about passing a car.
Right. So I think that you're talking about is when I'm being curious about what you're saying. So that judgment that you're talking about is not as much judgment as much as I'm not deciding whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, better than me or worse than me, stronger than me or weaker than me. I'm not making that call. I'm just trying to really understand what you're saying. But I'm talking about how not to judge, how not to be talking to someone.
What is wrong with judging someone? I'm saying you're making it sound like judging is like this like negative thing, like anyone I'm going to judge negatively. But even if you do judge someone negatively, like, wow, this guy's in like a really bad place in life, like you could still be empathetic to like, that's a tough thing. Like we're bound to judge people based off our previous life experiences and what we've seen and like witnessed.
I think first of all, I think it's a very, very, very valid point. It's 100% true. I think that maybe that comes in a later stage. That's what I think. I want to tell you something. What you just described, I am a professional at that. Okay? I'm trying to learn how to not do that. And what I mean is like this. I've gone through whatever I've gone through in my life. I have my experiences. I've done what I've done. I've accomplished what I've accomplished. And I have failed at what I've failed at. When you're talking, if I am just listening to you through the lens of my experience, I'm not getting to know you and you're not getting to know me. I'm not really listening to you then. I'm really just like, you know, I for years I've always had this like pet peeve where you like tell someone like, you know what I did? I started a thing. I start running in the morning. I run 10 miles a day. And the guy says, oh, well, I used to run it. Like, no, we were just talking about me. You know what I mean? Like the person right away has to like, oh yeah, but me, but you know what it's like by me. You know, like, you know, I just went out to eat. I never tasted a steak like that. Oh yeah, and one time I went out to eat. Like, calm down. Let's talk about my steak now.
Well, people who excessively do that are definitely like, I've run into people like that, and it's annoying. And I've probably even like been that person at times. But that is also how a conversation works. Like,
you know,
there is a push and pull in a conversation.
1,000%. But it's a very fine difference of how fast I switch to my steak. Right? That's really where it is. And it may sound like nothing, but it really is a bit, and it does get annoying. When you like, you know, I played a game of tennis yesterday. It was pickleball today, right? You know, like, you know, it was a killer game. Oh yeah, I played last week. Like, you know, like, okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Can I please revel in that I won 3 games straight yesterday? Like, but getting back to the other thing that you said, the judging, I'm often not even hearing when I'm judging that fast. I'm not really taking it in. I'm not really getting to know that person. I'm getting to know how that person compares with me.
That's you're saying the goal is just not comparing. Just he's a person, I'm a person.
Yeah,
Better, he's
yeah. But the fascinating thing is that it's so natural to compare that it is something that we have to work. I'm a Rav of a shul. Okay, I love my shul, fantastic, okay? I walk into another shul and I'm watching the Rav there, okay? I watch that Rav, trust me, you've never watched a Rav like I watch that Rav, okay? I watch what he does and in the early years, I'm doing this my 20th year, Okay? The early years, it wasn't always healthy. Like, okay, good speech, not as good as mine. Okay, I see how he's talking to this guy. Nice. I think I could do better. You know, like it was like a natural thing, and it came from an insecurity. It came from like this need to rate and to do well and to be successful and to, you know, and to feel like I'm being successful at what I'm doing. But it was a natural thing I went through for years. A natural thing that I would watch someone do something and then start reflecting back. Can I do that? How does that work for me? Why could he do that? What does that mean? Is that the right thing to do? And I've been with people who are sometimes it gets to the point of really unhealthy, where there's almost like an agenda, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in the room that has been with people where there's like an agenda to walk out of the room having passled and put an X on every single person. There's such an agenda. You know, I walk into a shul, I need to walk out and saying, the Rav, no good, the Gabbai, no good, the President, no good, the Mispalim, no good, the lights, no good, you know.
Go to thinking my shul is better.
What?
Is it like, you think, is it that you're thinking about that and thinking, I can make my shul better from this, or?
That would be, first of all, thank you. That was my excuse. Thank you, that was great, thank you. Yeah, that's a good cover. That's a good cover. It's a good cover that I could criticize you and be judgmental and say, I saw the way he does that. I could do better because I'm really just checking because I want to make sure I'm doing a good job. But the real truth is that it came from, for me at least, it came from an insecurity, like a desperation to do a good job. You hear the difference?
You can take it from being a judgmental desperation, whatever thing, and make it better.
Yeah,
Like
that's for
learning
sure.
from experience.
That's for sure. Look, I want to tell you something. Many, many, many times, it did make my shul better. It doesn't mean it was the healthiest way to go about it.
But it's the same thing with Russian toilets. You're allowed to listen to it, you can't judge the person. So I don't exactly remember who writes it, but it's like the first thought that comes into your mind when you're curious, you don't have control over. But if you continue thinking it's possibly the person, that's the bad part.
Yeah, and 100%. 100%.
The first thought that comes into your head, you might judge it a little bit, but your work is to not judge it. That's the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I a little bit like, I think that's already an accomplishment. In other words, if I fall into that thing, I come in and I'm listening to someone or watching someone or schmoozing with someone, and I right away move into judgment, and then I say 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. I should not be doing that. I take a step back. That's a huge accomplishment. But
that's how it is when anyone tells you. If someone tells you something bad, automatically you're gonna start judging them a little bit. But your job is to not continue judging. Same thing with Lashon Hara.
I have met people, believe it or not. I have met people. One of them is sitting next to me. I have met people who could listen to someone and not judge them right away. Zero judgment.
It's impossible.
That's not like
It's not possible because you're looking at a person and you're judging them.
Second of judgment.
I look at you have a beard, right?
That's
It's
not.
It's a judgment.
No, the judgment would be I don't like his beard.
Human nature.
No, but judgment could also be I like the beard.
Or I like the beard, but an opinion about it, that's the judgment.
Yeah, but looking at somebody, you automatically judge them. But by the way somebody's dressed, you can understand what kind of person they are. You get a feel from them, even if that's not it, but it's showing.
It's true, but paskening on it. You know what I mean? Like.
The way
I don't hold of that.
If you walk down the street, you see somebody dressed in a suit and tie, and you see somebody dressed in rags.
Right.
You're judging from the fact of if you needed help with something, I'd assume you go over to the person in the suit.
Right, but you're talking about learning about the person. I'm talking about judging
But the judgment
good or
is part
bad,
of the learning.
right or wrong.
The whole thing, your analysis of the person is because you judge them. You judge them based on their appearance. It's the first thing you notice about somebody, what they look like,
Right, but
before they open their mouth.
100%, 100,000%. I would even caution about that, by the way. But 100%. But there's a big difference if I see the guy in a suit and the guy in rags, and in my mind, the guy in the suit, that's cool. The guy in rags, not so much. That's the judgment. It's not understanding that the guy in rags must be someone who needs help and maybe not in such a position to help me. That's not judgment. That's analyzing. Let's call that analyzing.
analyzing
That's
is
understanding the situation.
You're using your judgment to analyze the person. You're walking down the street, you're looking at the person, you're judging them, and that's how you get their your analysis. That's.
What do you think?
Too much?
No,
Get him out of here.
I broke the code.
I'll tell you what, judging would be right now, there's a point that I'm making that you're not understanding right now. That's a Metzias, that's what I'm analyzing. Judging would be, you don't get it. You're not one of these guys that gets it. That would be judging. Analyzing would be, how can I explain myself better that this guy understands it? He doesn't understand what I'm saying. That's the you see how, is that cool what I just did?
Yeah. That's cool.
That's the difference between judging and analyzing.
But these,
Think about it.
go back and search.
It seems like it doesn't have to do with other people, it's just like if your self-image and how you feel about yourself.
100%.
Because it's not like a sugya of what happens when you walk into a room and see something. It's nothing to do with the other person.
But but that's when you see it. That's when you come in contact with it.
Sure.
That is when you come in contact with it.
But that's the area that needs to be worked on, like when with people, no.
It's the best time to work on it. It's not the area that needs to be. You're 100%. He's 100% right. The nakuda is inside of me. Am I comfortable with myself? 1,000%. In fact, I want to tell you something. Naturally, why would anyone judge another person? That's crazy. Does anybody want to be judged? Like, why would we do that? It doesn't make any sense. It must be that there's something inside of me that I need to protect by judging other people. It's pasha, right? So you're 100% right. I could sit in a room alone without any friends and just work on feeling comfortable with myself. But I'm not going to know that I got there until I go to a wedding and I meet 20 friends and I see how I feel when I walk out the door. Am I feeling good about myself then? Or am I either feeling like trash myself or I'm trashing them in my head? And that's the moment that I had an incident this Yantif here, okay? I don't know if it's my own, I don't know, Yax, come sit down. What? I don't know if it's my own issues or if it's the siyata d'shmaya. I can't answer that, okay? But I have like a lot of little stories like this that maybe because of the stuff that I'm involved with. But there was a guy in shul, this Yantif. I wonder if you've had this. I was very, very busy with him with something in sugya with his family a few months ago. Everything went, I come into shul, this Yantif, he's not talking to me. I have no idea why. We sit together by a kiddush on Shabbos. We sit together by a kiddush. We always sit around the table together. You remember those days, Yehuda? And no. That would be very clever of me, but no. What?
He was in.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. Oh, you should know that yesterday by the Nilas HaChag, I was thinking, where's Yehuda? So. It's so funny, anyway, I'm sitting by the kiddush. This guy doesn't sit in his regular seat. He sits on the other end of the table. He's there, but he's not there. He's part of the tzibur, but he's not talking to me. I shouldn't say so many details. He comes around, we were circling around some point on Yantif. I'm like, Good Yantif. Yantif, he's with his kids. Good Yantif. Okay? Now, there's a machlokes between me and my wife. Okay? My wife is like, you're very busy, you have one less person to talk to. It's a win. Like, what's the big deal? Yaks, right? But me, and Yaks, by the way, because when this happens, Yaks wants to kill the person. For me, I go home, and I'm chazering in my head every single word I said to the guy in the last 6 months, and I'm trying to figure out, what did I do to bother this person? What's going on? What happened? And then I start telling myself, am I successful with anyone? Did I help anyone? I'll drive my wife crazy. Did I help anyone? Tell me one person I helped. And then 10/10ths of a second later, I'll be like, you say you can't think of anyone. Like that kind of like sensitivity. When we have sensitivities like that, like we feel like we need to be successful, we need proof that we're successful, that kind of thing, that's what leads us that when we meet someone else, we need to place everyone somewhere. To just be like, wow, I'm so impressed with that person. For me, let's say, to walk into a shul and be just like, wow, I have so much to learn from that Rav. I'm just so impressed with him. The might say he doesn't know. No, not to do that. Oh, but the might, no, he's just an impressive guy. That's it. That's a nisayon. That's a difficult thing, and we get much healthier when we work on that. And friendship-wise, that's what I'm talking about. Friendship-wise, I'm talking about I'm curious about you, and that when you're telling me about yourself, there's zero psak. I'm not paskening, it's good, it's bad, I would do that, I wouldn't do that. That's not the conversation at all. I'm just drinking it in. I'm taking it in. This is this guy. Fascinating, amazing. This is this person. That's the second thing. The third thing that I think of the three pieces of friendship. How are you, Rabbi Zone? The third.
What do you actually say that this is a person that doesn't judge anyone? Like, that's not human nature to not just hear something from someone and not judge at all.
A little bit. I want to tell you something. I'm happy that I'm here today. I'm happy that I'm here today, just to be mechadesh that there's such a thing. Believe it or not, there is such a thing as being so confident in yourself and happy with yourself that you could listen to someone talk with zero judgment. I think it's something to strive for. I don't know. I've had moments of it that I could tell you.
That's what Yisrael, could you relate? I think anybody could relate to moments in our life where things are like ridiculously good, that then we could relate to that. We're in such a good space, we're happy, some good news, we just like wouldn't even think to judge, you're just excited by something.
It depends on what you're hearing. If you're hearing something simple, then maybe you won't judge. But the more the thing becomes bigger, you are going to have at least beginning to also judgment. Like you're going to hear someone.
Can you picture a guy? Yisrael's wife just had a baby. He had his first child. Could you think that day he's judging people?
Probably not. But if some dude came and told him I just stabbed someone,
Right, within reason.
Okay,
so
that's
Within reason.
That's a pretty.
a lot of money or something like that.
But even that, somebody called me today that his company realized that a guy stole a few $100s from him. Okay? I'm listening to the story. Because of the details of the story, I had to ask who it was, and it's someone that I know. Okay?
Do you think you did, at least in the beginning, like, what did this dude do that was not right? Do you think in the beginning of when you weren't thinking that at all?
Is it not judging?
No, I what I was thinking of, which is exactly, again, if it was a different type of thing, where I struggle with it? I struggle with it in areas that I'm struggling. I'm not struggling with stealing money from a business. So when I hear that, I could have the sense of like, this is what my first thought was. What could this guy possibly be going through that drove him to do that? That was my first thought.
Is that not a judgment, though?
You think that's a judgment?
I'm not trying to understand somebody. I'm not putting things. Okay, I'm understanding. To judge.
I'm not judging right or wrong. I'm not judging. I'm not being Hashem and deciding if he should have done that or not done that. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just saying to myself, I believe that people are good people. I have a hanach. I believe people are good people. So if someone did something that I think is wrong, in my mind, I'm like, what drove him to do that? What?
Is it not judging? Let's say the case you're saying where like you can get so full with yourself and so good with yourself you're not going to judge someone. Is it not judging or it's not judging negatively? You're going to start giving him the benefit of that. You're like, oh, the reason he did that is probably... You're still judging him, it's just you're giving him the benefit of the doubt and you're trying to say like, oh, okay, maybe he didn't mean that or maybe he didn't... I think a person's automatically judging it just whether it's negative or positive. And when you're saying,
Well, maybe it's not negative or positive. It's more like the jury is still out. I'm not
which
making
is
that
kinda giving you
call.
the benefit of the doubt, but you're saying what you I reckon you did something, but I assume you wouldn't do that or whatever, or like assumptions that no, you're a good person, so like there's got to be a different reason. But still giving a judgment, it's just giving the judgment.
Saying I
positive.
don't know is I'm not being the judge. I just don't know.
I hear. Look, let me put it this way, okay? If you're right,
Then that's not considered judgment.
then
Right.
yeah,
But I
like
think that's where a lot of
let's
people
make
are
sure
getting
let's make
disconnected
sure
when
that
you
we
say-
don't end up
I
discussing
think a lot of
the
people are getting
translation of a
disconnected
word.
when you say that there's
What?
I think people are getting disconnected when you're saying you don't judge. It just means that you're just judging positive. You're giving him the positive. You're giving him the benefit of the doubt.
It's
But
like-
people are still like, oh, but that's judging him. You're
It's
judging
not
positive.
the benefit of the doubt. It's more like I don't know.
Right. Which is it's not clear.
Right? And it's also something else. When you're talking about someone that says I did something wrong,
No, or
So
you
then we
compare
can talk
a case,
about-
the guy that called you up that stole money. It's automatically gets a judgment. The question is, there must be a reason, or I don't get the story fully, or people are still taking that. Oh, that's sort of a judgment. So it's just this
what?
Using assessment with judgment.
Right. As I said, analysis with judgment. Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's the.
I think I'd much rather a guy judge me negatively than say, I wonder what he's going through to do that. For an example, like let's say I'll be
I actually hear that.
Let's say I'll be the guy that says I hate Waterbury. I'll just be like, hey, he's lost in the sauce, he doesn't know. When I meet somebody who says like, I love Waterbury, a guy could come with a ponytail and eating and olive through Taira Bacher, I'm like, get that guy. Like, it bothers me. It's kind of like the same thing. Like,
What-
if you
what
just
is the-
judge me negatively and say I'm a bad person, I'll be like, hey,
But
you
what-
don't know.
but
If you're
what-
like, I wonder what he's going through. It's like, yo, I'm not.
What bothers you? What bothers you about it?
What?
What bothers you about it?
About what?
That guy that says about Waterbury. What bothers you about that? Why does that bother you?
Scared you're not being genuine. Scared you're not being genuine.
What bothers me about it? Yeah, he's missing the point. Like, that's not what Waterbury is. I don't know. Like, it just
What do you mean?
pisses me off.
What do you
The guy
mean?
who says, like, I hate Waterbury, it's just like, hey, hate Waterbury, you have your opinion. The guy who's saying, like, Waterbury takes the guy who's off the derech and helps him learn Torah, like,
What bothers you about that?
it's just not the point. Like, I don't think that's what we're doing.
What are we doing?
Why is he using that voice?
I think we're trying to help create people that understand their emotions, express their emotions, like themselves. love themselves.
Okay, so you're talking about that there are people that will judge because of a certain short-sightedness, because they're not getting it. They'll make a judgment, and it's almost like patronizing. It's almost like I'm not your Pesach Krohn story, you know what I mean? Like I'm not your Mishpacha magazine article, this is real and this is honest and this is for real and we're having real conversations, and it's a little bit like I understand what you're saying, and I do appreciate that sensitivity about like I wonder what he's going through. But let me just give you one piece of information that might change it for you. This is a guy I know very, very well. So then when it's a guy I know well, it's more like, this is a good guy. That's what I mean on what he's going through. This is a good guy. You hear what I'm saying? I'm not like, oh, I know everyone's really a tzaddik inside. I'll find the pintel a yid. And I don't mean that.
But the reason you're empathetic to that is because you've already judged this guy as a good guy, and that's why you're giving him the benefit of the doubt in the situation. If you didn't know this guy from a hole in the wall, and the first guy came to you and said, this guy stole money from my company, you'd probably be like, that's an uncool thing to do, and you'd at least subconsciously judge the thief as like not a good guy on some level. Whereas since you've already judged this guy based on past experience with him as a good guy, you're much quicker to
I promised myself I was going to be completely honest here, so I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's not true. I would not judge the person. It's not true. In fact, I part of what I do is that people who do very, very, very bad things come to speak to me. You could ask Rabbi Kalish. They come to speak. There are therapists out there that send people to me when they do very bad things. Okay? And I sit with them, and one of the hardest things that I deal
One
with.
example and one name.
Give me just 1 second. There's a book that was written by a rabbi And he writes in the introduction to the book, I left out every story that would have made this a bestseller. So for this speech, I'm leaving out every story that would make it a bestseller.
Can I try to clarify? I think a little bit the backlash that Rabbi's getting, I don't know if anyone here is even disagreeing, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like Rabbi's coming from a little bit of a perspective of like, a guy tells me something, and it almost like goes in one ear out the other, like no effect on you. And everyone's like, if someone tells you something, you think something, you think good, you think bad, maybe you think bad, and then you think, oh, but I can't judge him because I don't know his story. Even as you're saying it, you're saying someone comes and tells me something that he did really bad. And I think what he could be going through, even you saying that someone comes and tells you that he did something really bad, it sounds like a judgment. You just judge that he did something really bad because we all think stealing $1 million is really bad.
Right, but you're talking.
And then where you go,
You're talking about the. Maybe this is the thing. Okay. Maybe this is the thing. I'm working with you here. Okay. Maybe the thing is that maybe I am judging, but I'm judging the action, but I'm not judging the person who's doing the action.
I think so. I think everyone would even.
Does that make sense to you?
I think everyone would be asking me even that. Okay, so you have a judgment about the action. Oh my God, somebody did something really bad. Oh, it doesn't make him a bad person. Meaning, I don't know if he's a good guy, bad guy. I have no idea where he holds in the.
Right. Okay. I think that's good. I think that's good.
On this massive scale that we all know.
Right. I think you're right. You hear what he's saying?
I think people would even agree. Not sure.
You know, I always had this kasha. I'm curious if Rabbi Kalish has a pshat. I always had this kasha. The Mishnah says to be dan l'kaf schus. It also says al tadan es chavercha. What's the pshat?
Judge your friend.
Yaakov, what's the pshat? How could it say at the same time, judge favorably and don't judge your friend?
Maybe it's what he's saying about.
What's the pshat? What? Yeah, but yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's what he's saying that once you already have a judgment of him. Once he's your friend, once you already have that, so then you're good. You don't have to judge him. But a stranger, you don't have that original background.
I want to get to the third thing, but let me just tell you something about myself. Just to, maybe you'll understand a little bit about the judging part of it. In my life, my own personal life, my childhood, and so on, I've been through a tremendous amount of pain. Tremendous amount of pain. And some of the pain was so bad that I didn't realize it until I was in my 30s, and even that I didn't realize till I was in my 40s, and even now I'm still coming to terms with understanding the tsar that I went through. And because of what I've been through, I've had to struggle with things myself. I've had to struggle with things that, when I was much younger. The first thing one thing that comes to mind very strongly was when I was a young parent. I was sometimes a very angry parent, and I didn't understand why, and it wasn't really my personality. I think Rabbi Kalish still doesn't believe me, but Yaks believes me.
Do you?
Pretty much not angry anymore.
No, but his older siblings told him. and even being a Rav and a Rebbe and all of that was something that for a long time I had to balance, trying to really do a good job with sometimes these monstrous feelings inside of me. And because of that, I spent a lot of time, first of all, judging myself, and a lot of time hurt when people judged me. And maybe, I'm just thinking out loud now, you're pushing me to think, okay? Maybe the reason why I could listen to all these stories that would make this a bestseller and not judge is because I've had to work so hard on not judging myself. Because if I would have to judge myself, when I judge myself, it's a very, very harsh judgment. Okay? And I built a home where my kids feel comfortable telling me things that bothered them about my upbringing, about their upbringing. So we had a yontif now, and I had married children by me with their families. And I'm proud of this, but it's not always easy. My kids will come and they'll say, yeah, I'm in therapy for anxiety because when I was young, you didn't know how to deal with my anxiety. And they're right. Okay? Now, how lucky am I that my married children could come back to my house and tell that to me casually and feel accepted, saying, I wish that I could take my pain somewhere and just say, I wish that someone could acknowledge, validate my tsar, and I don't have that. At least I could provide that for my children. But the truth of the matter is that I didn't even connect the two things. It could be that would have been a different shmooze. But the truth of the matter is perhaps you're right that there's a disconnect in the room, and you're pushing me to recognize that maybe that's the pshat in the disconnect. Maybe I truly could listen to really, really bad things and be like, I have had to learn to be meichel myself. I have had to learn to be okay with not being the person I want to be or doing the things I want to be. I'm okay. I'm a good guy. I work hard. I try hard. I'm a fighter. I keep trying. I tell my kids when they tell that to me is that with any bit of tsar that you've had from growing up in this house, at least you had a father that you saw working on himself. And thank goodness they agree about that. And I don't even speak out the obvious reality that they could come back to my house and they could express that to me. So maybe that's the disconnect here. Maybe that's the avodah, perhaps. Perhaps it's not about working on it when someone else is talking to me. Maybe it's more, like we were saying before, maybe it's more about really, really, really coming to terms with ourselves. And really, really, truly being meichel and accepting who we are. And if we could reach that on a real level, maybe we won't have any need to judge other people, and maybe it won't be a first instinct. What's bothering the olam here, it's not lost upon me. What's bothering you is not that I'm saying not to judge. You're good with that. What's bothering you is that I'm not admitting to an initial judgment, right? That's what's bothering you. But everyone judges. You could then not judge, but everyone judges. And I'm looking in the mirror as you're talking, and I'm looking back at myself, and I'm realizing, first of all, I don't do that. No, there is possible to not do that. And it wasn't something I worked at in Musar Seder. It's something I worked at in Life Seder. It's something that I needed to survive. Maybe I'm backwards. Maybe if I would judge other people, so then I would also have to judge myself. And I also understand not to judge myself. I understand it as the years go on. I understand it. I went through difficult times. I dealt with it as best as I can. Rabbi Kalish knows me for a good part of that journey. I'm really dealing with it as best as I can. I go back to the drawing board. I try again. My wife and I are completely honest with each other, which includes her saying, yeah, you better work on that, And it could be that relationship with myself of being able to say, yeah, you got work to do. You're a good guy. You're one of the good guys. Maybe that helped me, that when people tell me all kinds of horrific things that they did. And yes, I did say horrific, but I don't think of them as horrific. I have this thing that when a guy talks to me about this type of stuff, it's really, a lot of it is infidelity in marriage and this type of stuff. I make a point of hugging the guy when we're done. Even if I didn't know him before the conversation started, I need the guy to know that he could walk back into my office. I need the guy to know that I love him. And the truth is, I really should thank you. I didn't realize that I was weird. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't realize. Did you realize? I thought I was normal that I don't judge people.
That you were not. That's weird for me, for sure. Yeah, I judge people.
You know, maybe. Do you recognize this? Am I making sense here?
Yeah.
You think I'm saying pshat?
The guy ever walk out of your office and you couldn't be good?
You know, I'm going to be very, very, very honest with you, okay? And this is I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but for the benefits of full disclosure, the real answer is no, but there is a time that a guy walks out of my office and I judge him, and that's when he attacks me. And that's not a good thing. I'm not strong enough yet to be the victim of an attack, what?
Why is the real answer no?
Because I realize that it's a childishness on my part. That when I'm attacked, it's also an expression of his pain. But I have a hard time if it turns on me. I have a little bit of a hard time with that. I'm not, maybe one day. But right now, if it turns on me, then, like sometimes I'll have a guy comes in. I have sometimes, like a very yeshivish guy or this and that because addictions and issues happen to everyone. And I'll feel like his response is like, oh, you do this like psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but like the way I'm talking, oh, you do this like therapy psychologist. That's the type. You're that type. I have a very hard time with that guy. I have a very hard time. And it's not good because that's his defense mechanism. And I will say, for one thing, is that I do fight through it. I try not to express it, but I have to go through it. I do need a little time to recover after that meeting. I'll put I'll push, I'll make it through. Some of those guys have become my best friends. And I want to tell you something. Like, I consider myself a very good judge of character. I completely miss it sometimes in the beginning. And I get like very, very bent out of shape. And I was reading the guy wrong. A few weeks ago, someone wanted to call me about a shidduch, about a girl that lives here. And the way that he was talking to me, like he wanted to ask me information, I was like, I know that type. He's an abusive guy. I have a radar for abusive guys. I know the guy's an abusive guy. And then he finally called me, and he's like, and I said, could I call you? Could you talk to me tomorrow? Tomorrow, 1:00. And he's like, look, I had to wait this long to speak to you, but I can't do 1:00. I'm giving Shiur then. So like I had to like work around his schedule, even though he wanted to call me, like that type. I was very turned off. And you're turned off even me just telling you that conversation. And then I ended up speaking to him a few days later. He was the nicest guy in the world. He got it. I don't know what was going on in his life. But it's interesting, and some of you may call me out on it. I judged. I did judge, because when I feel it on myself, when it's at me, it's very hard for me. That's hard for me. I'm working on it, and the truth is that I want to tell you something. Yehuda, I spoke last night very well by the Nil Sachag, okay? And it was very good. It was very emotional. It was very good, okay? And I got a phone call today from someone who told me that his learning was different today because of it. It's a big nachas call, right? It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. You start drinking up the compliments, you start caring about the criticism. We're not in a spell. Not in a spell from the compliment. That's the healthy word is, I'm glad I helped you. Move on. Next thing. I have to speak for the Waterbury guys. Next. That's the healthy thing. To get too wrapped up. Let me call my wife. Oh, let me tell Yax. This guy called. He said I made a big difference in his life. You hear? Or Kalish, you heard? I spoke to this guy. He said I made a big difference. So then when the guy in shul is going around to say Good Shabbos, Good Yantif, and won't talk to me, you see how those two are related, right? The really healthy thing for me would be like, you give a compliment. We accept compliments because it's our way of being a mensch. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. Thank you for saying that, because it means a lot. But if it's too much, and sometimes it is, sometimes I like a good compliment.
Someone could be happy
What?
when someone says that.
No, there's a difference though. There's a difference. I don't know if I could put it into words. There's a difference between accepting a compliment and feeling good about, and maybe this is the nakuda, and accepting a compliment and feeling validated from it.
Sick call.
Right? Right? That I think is the nakuda. There's a difference between accepting a compliment and feeling good about it, and accepting a comment and feeling validated by it. I don't need your compliment to make me feel like a good person or someone who's doing a good job. I love your compliment because it makes me feel good. If I do need your compliment, imagine what your criticism will do to me. You know I stole this, right? You know who I stole this from? No.
He's a Tumblr.
I gave this to Rabbi Woznicki. I'll tell you who I stole it from. I stole it from Rav Kook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Rav Kook was very much argued with in his time. The Rabbanim in his time, very, very, very much, they argued with his approach and everything. And there was one Rav that wrote a letter to him that mamish destroyed him. Okay, like he raked him over the, mamish destroyed him. And Rav Kook responds to that letter. And when I read the response, I never told you about this? When I read the response to that letter, I made a copy of it, and I framed it, and I put it in my office. Okay? It is unbelievable. You have to read it. I'll send you a picture of it if you text me. Okay? It is unbelievable. Rav Kook writes to the person, he says, first of all, I wasn't planning really on responding to this letter, but I just saw how much pain a Talmud Chacham is in. And I thought maybe I could do something to alleviate your tsar. And then he writes a little bit about himself. And then he says, I want to tell you something. From the time that I really started to hook into learning Torah, I stopped needing people's compliments. And that alone is a very deep statement. Okay? He says, Memela, I also couldn't care less about their criticisms. I was like, that's amazing. That's the secret. Yeah, that's our sugya. The third thing, Rabbi Yisrael, and I'll let you go. We didn't expect it to go this way, right? The third thing, Rabbi Yisrael, for friendship, the third thing, I believe, is loyalty. We're loyal to our friends. We're loyal to our friends. Our friends don't have to be right. They don't have to have done... Your friend gets into an argument with someone, it doesn't mean that you go fight with him. It doesn't mean that. But we're loyal to our friends. What? It could mean that. Okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that. I'm serious. It could mean that. But the point is, I'll give you an example. I know a guy that he's in an institution, and he's a person that I'm loyal to. Okay? Someone else in the institution left, and that person reached out to me, wanted to meet me. I said no. I'm loyal to this person. Now, does that mean he's right, he's wrong? I don't care. I am loyal to this person. We are loyal to our friends. We don't have to, I want to tell you something. Two people get into a machlokes, they could go to a rav to figure it out. They could go to a judge to figure it out. They could go to a therapist to figure it out. But if I'm one of their friends, I'm not that guy. I am here for my friend. I am loyal to my friend. That's it. I'm a friend. What? The thing is, if my friend is fighting, and I join the fight, I may not be helping him. I may not be helping him. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not always like that. Because sometimes it could be that, I'll give you an example. Let's say for me, right? What?
He can tell you, book, this is my fight.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, it's sometimes a good friend says, hey, take it down a notch. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just talking about, you know what I mean?
Okay, but if he doesn't want to take it down, then you fight with him.
You mean like fight for him?
Yeah, it's like you fight with him, beside him, yeah. If you say, yo, let's take it down a notch, he's like, nah, let's take it up mad notches.
I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure that a friend can't be, look, this is not my fight. I'm here for you. I'm not sure that, we're talking seriously. It's easy for me to agree with you. It's easy to agree with you. And I'm not saying that it's never the case. There are times, you start up with my friend, you're starting up with me. Certainly you started with Yax, you're starting up with me. Okay? You know what I'm saying? But there's a certain sense of loyalty that you don't get, and we make this mistake sometimes. People sometimes will reach out to someone's friend, like to try to almost pull them away and separate them. Don't mess with friendships. Friends are loyal to each other. I don't have to agree with my friends to be loyal to them. I could make decisions here in this shul that Rabbi Kalish disagrees with. I can make decisions in New York that he disagrees with. I can make decisions about my life that he disagrees with. Whether or not he tells me that he disagrees, that depends on where we're up to. But I know with 100% certainty that he will always be my friend. 100% certainty. I know right now, as I sit here, right now talking to you, I know that this person will be my friend as long as I live. I know that. I have that complete, and that's because we're loyal to each other. And I think that that's the third thing. The first thing we said is curiosity. I'm interested in you. The second thing is that I don't judge you. K'moisha bi'arnu. And the third thing is that I stand with you. Whether I fight with you, we can discuss that. But I stand with you. I am your loyal friend. I am not getting involved. Okay? They come around with me with a paper. They want to put Durim and Chayrim. I'm not signing that paper, even if I don't agree with it. But even if I would agree with it, I'm not signing that paper because I am loyal to this person. I am a loyal friend. Okay? And if they come around with a paper that B'nai Shalom should not be a shul in Klal Yisrael, even if Rabbi Kalish is like, I don't know if you can't really imagine this, but Maisa, maybe it shouldn't be a shul in Klal Yisrael. I know that I will not see his name. If someone shows me a letter and Rabbi Kalish is signed on it and it's against me, I will look that person in the eyes without knowing anything and I will say this is a forgery. Right? Yes. That is loyalty. Okay? Yashar Kayach, guys. Yeah?